Hi, my name is Lisa Glover. I'm a University of Minnesota Extension Master Gardener in Dakota County. I'm here in our community garden in South St. Paul, and I'd like to tell you about the mini cucumbers that we are trialing this year as part of our Master Gardener State seed trials. Along with over 100 other Master Gardeners across the state of Minnesota, we are trialing 6 different varieties of mini cucumbers. We grow them from seed and we take note of their germination rate. Then we monitor their growth throughout the growing season in the garden. We take notes of things like disease and insect tolerance and their overall growth. Then we compare their productivity and we look at things like their uniformity between the different varieties, as well as the average weight and length of the cucumbers between the different varieties. And then of course we compare the taste. We compare things like their texture as well as their flavor. And we do all of these things so that we can help guide you and other gardeners when you're making decisions about the types of cucumbers that you might like to plant in your gardens and the types of cucumbers that do really well in Minnesota. So now here you can see the plot in our community garden where we are trialing the 6 different varieties of mini cucumbers. There are 6 trellises, and at each trellis is a different variety of the 6 trial cucumbers that we are growing. And as you can see, it's a little bit deceiving because it looks like there's one big cucumber around each trellis, but actually there's one cucumber planted on each side of these 4-sided trellises. And as the name implies, they are mini cucumbers, so the plants themselves are actually a little bit more compact in nature than a typical cucumber. They do also vine, but the vines are also a little bit shorter than a typical cucumber. This compact nature of these types of cucumbers make them really excellent choices for if you have a small space in your garden or in a raised bed or even in a pot on your patio or deck. Now this cucumber that we have right here is called the Mini Me, and it is best picked at 3.5 to 4 inches. One of the characteristics that many of these cucumbers that we are trialing have in common are the fact that they have smooth skin and kind of glossy, smooth, and they're thin. The skin is thin. And as you can see, there are no spines on these cucumbers. There is one variety that I'll show you in a minute that does have spines, but this is something that really makes these cucumbers good to use for snacks because they can just be grabbed off of the vine. They don't have to be peeled, and another characteristic of all of these cucumbers is that they are full of flavor and very crunchy, so it really makes them excellent for snacking. This cucumber right here that we are trialing is called Iznik. And it is also picked best at about 3 to 4 inches. The skin is smooth and does not have spines on it. As you can see, there are still mini flowers on it, and it is really producing well at this point. You can also tell that the recent rains have really made these cucumbers produce, and we'll be harvesting them very soon. The variety that we have right here is called Quail. I can tell that its leaves are a little bit smaller, and the fruit in and of itself is narrower and actually could be picked if it were smaller, as well as this one is probably about 3 inches and this one is probably about 4 to 5 inches. But the skin is smooth and thin and glossy. It's also looking like there's a lot of blossoms and a lot of fruit on this plant. What's interesting about this cucumber, which is called excelsior, is that it is the only one of our 6 that we're trialing that actually has spines. It has these little nubs that a regular cucumber would have, although it is shorter, like around 4 inches when it's best picked. I think this would be great for pickling. This variety that we have right here is called Piccolino, and it is like the others. It has smooth skin, can be picked at about 4 inches. The skin is thin and smooth, and again would be really great for snacking. All of these, the varieties that I have shown you, are also seedless, and they're seedless because all of these plants produce only female flowers, and the female flowers also do not need to be pollinated, so that's why they are seedless. although we haven't actually tested them yet, so I can't say for certain that they're actually seedless, but that's what part of our trial is all about. This sixth variety here is called Green Fingers, and it is loaded with blossoms, although it does not have any fruit on it yet. And I believe the reason for that is that the other 5 varieties have a date to maturity of 35 to 40 days, and we're right at about 35 days right now, so they are right on schedule. Whereas Green Fingers, it has a little bit later date to maturity of about 50 days, so it has a little bit more time yet before it will produce. But as I said, it is loaded with flowers, so I'm sure it'll be coming along with a lot of produce. So if I could just take you back for a minute to let you know how we got these cucumbers to this point. On April 23rd, we planted our mini cucumber seeds indoors, and we did that because although you can plant cucumber seeds directly into your garden soil, the soil must be warm at about 70 degrees in order to have good germination. So to get a head start on it, we started our seeds indoors, and after they germinated, we kept them under lights for about 18 hours a day. Then 2 weeks before we transplanted them outside to our garden, we hardened them off by placing them outside and gradually exposing them to sun and outdoor conditions so that they would become strong plants and not be shocked by the change in environment. Then about a month after they were seeded, on May 19th, they were transplanted into our garden here. When we planted them next to our trellises, we already had the trellises in place so that we wouldn't have to put the trellises there later when the vines are growing, and we wouldn't disturb or cut a vine accidentally when we're placing them. You can also see that when we planted them, we laid some mulch at the base of the plants, and we did that to help prevent weeds, to keep the moisture in the soil, and to keep the soil warm, evenly warm. And that's something that cucumber plants really need and love, since they're warm season vegetables. We also want to be careful when we water these plants, to water at the base of the plant so that we will keep the foliage as dry as possible. And keeping the foliage dry will help prevent disease. Cucumbers also need full sun, as you can see that we have here in our community garden. Full sun and consistent, ample amounts of water in order to produce well. So as you can see, the plants are healthy and full, and they are really coming along to produce. We will be trialing them for our taste testing very soon. Cucumbers are very nutritious. They are high in antioxidants and vitamin K, as well as a good source of soluble fiber. Since they are about 96% water, they are a good source of staying hydrated. The cucumbers are great, especially these small snack-sized cucumbers would be great for snacking with hummus, for instance, or for slicing onto a salad, in your sandwiches, or your wraps. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to this video about our trial garden for our mini cucumbers as much as we enjoy growing them and telling you about them.